Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the 17th episode of Highbury Matters. Tonight, with a good friend of mine, Mike, we're going over the 1996-7 season and 1997-8 season. I think I can hear the players coming out the tunnel, so hold on, here we go. Good evening, Mike. How are you?
Hello, Melvyn.
You okay?
I'm great, thank you. I'm great.
Well,
I've never been on YouTube before, so I've got some family tuning in. They're all very excited. I'm very excited.
Good, because so am I. I mean, you don't get a warm-up here, no 5-minute warm-up, straight to kick-off. So I'm going to ask you the first question I normally ask people. When did you start supporting Arsenal and why?
Well, I think I was 5, Melvyn. So that's about 30 years ago.
Sorry.
Don't get any better. I had an uncle. I think my cousin Veronica's watching, and her dad John bought me an Arsenal pennant when I was 5, and I had that up by my bed, and that was it. I was Arsenal, but I grew up in Islington, so I was. Yeah. It was destined to be.
And what was your? Do you remember? Not if you may not remember, but do you know what your first match was?
I don't. I remember it was an evening match, and
really, that's unusual.
Game, yeah, and we parked in Drayton Park, and of course it was more exciting because it was evening game. I remember walking along Drayton Park, and I think there's a dairy there, so it was all lit up because they were working at night, and I thought that was the ground. But if you remember, in those days when you got near the ground, you could hear the crowd cheering before the game. They don't cheer before the game anymore, but that was such a thrilling feeling.
That was. Do you remember who your favourite players were when you first started watching the Arsenal?
Well, so my first team was the double team of 71, really. So it would have been, well, George Armstrong was my favourite. Geordie Armstrong was my favourite at the time, but obviously the icons of that team were Charlie George, John Radford. They were the goal scorers. Ray Kennedy, but probably Peter Storey was my favourite because he was energetic midfielder, which is how I saw myself at the time. It's obviously a long time ago, and Peter Storey and Geordie Armstrong. They were my two heroes at the time.
As I said, this is the 17th one I've done talking about Highbury, the memories and everything. And I think there hasn't been a podcast that anybody's not mentioned George Armstrong. Everyone, for some reason, mentions him. He may not have been their favourite player because he can't be, but for some reason he sticks in people's minds as Arsenal.
Yeah,
so it's amazing that. I mean, obviously, one of them I had Jill Armstrong on his daughter, so we had to mention him. I don't know why, but we did. But apart from that, the other 15 people I've had on, and also you, always mentioned him, and there must be a reason for that because he was terrific. It was really, and you could go back to that double year. I mean, I remember that double year very well because I'm a bit older than you, believe it or not, and all of those players to me were like heroes. You know, it was just like. Every single one of them, you could make a case for going, oh, what a player, for whatever reason. Yeah.
Well, we had a long time after winning to adore them as well, didn't we? Because it was we won some cups at the end of the 70s, but we didn't win the league again for 18 years. So in my obviously a lot longer for other clubs, not too far.
Yes.
But I remember, I mean, I was too young to go on the parade or anything, but I remember looking at the photos and hearing stories about people who went to White Hart Lane for the championship winning game. Oh, you did, Melvyn?
I went, sat behind the goal.
Oh, wow.
Paxton Road. I mean, but just very quickly on that game, it's about you, but I'm going to take over. I'm actually joking, it really. But I went, I bunked off school. People are bored of this story. I bunked off school. Then my dad only phoned up the school to make arrangements to meet me for the game. I didn't have a ticket, you had to queue up. And so I phoned my dad up from my friend's house to say, right, I'm make arrangements. He goes, I've just phoned the school. Where are you? I'm in my mate's house. You better get back and re-register. They're looking for you. They had to go back to school, get registered, and jump out again. And we got there very early, and we got in a queue. We didn't even know if we were going to get in, me and my friend. We did get in. And in fact, I didn't see my father that night because it was impossible. You can't. It was impossible. But what an evening. Never forget that. I was 2 rows from the back, and they had a corrugated roof, Spurs, and there was a gap between the roof and the brickwork. And there's a little gap you could look through, and you can see the roads miles away, people queuing up miles away.
Because there were some people who had a ticket who couldn't get near the ground.
Yeah, it was that. It was mad. It was madness. So Geordie Armstrong was one of your favourites. I mean, when you go to Highbury, I know we're all biased, but it doesn't mean we're wrong. Highbury was special, wasn't it? It was special.
Yeah, well, Melvyn, I know the theme of the show is Highbury, but I was at Highbury on the day of the Hillsborough disaster.
Oh yeah.
And I went with a friend of mine, and so that was in 1989, and we were searched on the way in, as everybody was in those days. No alcohol. In fact, I mean the toilets were a disgrace in the North Bank. I was in the North Bank that day. I don't really miss all that part. I mean, I'd much rather go to my nice plush seat at the Emirates and have be able to get a drink at half time and stuff like that. I'm happy that it's a better experience for the fan than it was in those days.
You say that, but from an early age, I kept my father and my uncle as well took me over the turnstile for £0.50, and I sat on their lap or whatever it was. And then growing up, when I could afford it, I bought a ticket there and the East Upper, and it was bloody luxury. You could get a drink at half time. The toilets were okay. It was different to the North Bank. I mean, fans those days, as you know, were treated like animals.
Yeah,
they were actually second-class citizens. A bit like today with the way
people behave like animals, Melvyn.
Yes. But everyone did. And if I went to away games, I was treated like everyone else. I couldn't say, excuse me, I'm Melvyn, I'm a very nice bloke. You didn't get a chance to say that. You just got, that was it. But and at half time, as I say, nowadays, even we sit near each other at the Emirates, don't we?
Yeah.
And if you want to get a beer, not that I'm a drinker, but you can't go after when the ref blows his whistle. If you come out to get a drink, then you've got a very small chance of getting a drink straight. You've got to queue for quite a bit of time to get to the front. It's disorganised, I think. I don't think it's best. But listen, I loved Highbury. I thought it was something special. I thought the atmosphere was great. Even like you said, just going before you get to the ground, you could feel it, you could hear it. It had something about it, and the concrete steps going up to where you sat or whatever.
Yeah. I'd come in from the Highbury Barnes side and come down Avenel Road, and then you'd turn the corner and see all the crowds, and I can still feel that feeling. But I mean, did you ever go in the club shop behind the clock end?
Yeah.
I mean, my memory of the club shop, which I love the club shop now, and as most of my friends will know, I have been a big supporter of the club shop. And the club shop was literally a porter cabin, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And there was a massive queue to get in the porter cabin, and then you'd fight your way to the front, and then you'd look through the catalogue and pick something. I mean, just the range of what you can get now compared to then is incredible.
Oh yeah. And looking through, we did a show the other week looking at the prices of stuff. They weren't that cheap, Mike, compared to today's.
No.
They were quite expensive. I think we had a photograph of Arsenal. They're like 50 quid in those days. I'm going back a few years before the years we're covering now. So, Yeah, it was a different thing then. I'll get onto it soon. So in the programs, the adverts they used to have, quite strange adverts which you wouldn't get now. We'll come on to that, as I'll say later. Who did you go with then? Did you go? You obviously didn't go with your brother because he was a Spurs.
So, well, actually, my dad used to take me, and my dad, I have to admit, my lovely father is a Tottenham fan,
Oh,
and
right.
he was never particularly passionate about it. So he took me. He got a season ticket. So we had a season ticket in the 1977, 78, 79, and 80 seasons. So they were the seasons when Brady was at his pomp,
Oh, yeah.
and then we got to the 3 cup finals, and it was Brady was the outstanding player in those days.
Oh, fantastic! You would get into any Arsenal team. I keep saying that.
Yeah.
Any Arsenal team. Were you a hamburger, hot dog, or peanuts guy at the ground? Did you?
No, I wasn't. I did in Highbury, latter days in Highbury, they had a bagel stand.
Oh, that's right.
Stand, didn't they? But I didn't eat there. I'd have gone to Highbury Barn before the game, a few pints, but I didn't really eat the ground. For very good reasons, I never ate in the ground.
Yeah, yeah. Well, outside was even worse. When they opened those hamburger things with steam coming out, they boiled the hamburgers.
Yeah. So Melvyn, you said that when you were little, you were passed over the turnstiles.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Obviously, I'm not going to own up to this in front of these millions of viewers, but back in the day, you could go up to the turnstile and squeeze 2 people through the turnstile for one.
Yes.
And the guy on the door would keep the difference. So
yeah.
let's say it was £6 each to get in. You'd say to the guy, 2 for a tenner. You both squeeze in one turnstile. Obviously, it was a long time ago that I could have squeezed in one turnstile. So
they were bigger those days.
He'd keep the £4, and then when they'd announced the attendance, that you could not move in the ground, and the capacity was 60,000. The attendance would come out 47,812. Before that guy on the gate.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a bit like that. Right, we're gonna obviously talk about the 1996-7 season before the following season. But are there any other matches at Highbury apart from those 2 seasons that really stick out at Highbury or not, or moments?
Well, Melvyn, am I allowed to mention our best Highbury experience, you and me?
Because you can do, of course you can.
You and me were lucky enough to play on the pitch, weren't we? And it was sometime in the 90s. I'm not quite sure exactly what year it was, but a friend of yours, Stan, Stan was very in with the club, and basically Stan had hired the pitch. I think it was after the end of the season.
That's
for
right.
Charity. So Stan gone to the club and said, if I can raise a certain amount of money for charity, would you let us play on the pitch? So I remember being at work and Stan rang me and Stan said to me, would you be interested in playing on the pitch at Highbury for charity? And I'm thinking to myself, oh my word, what would I not pay to play on the pitch? I mean, how much have I got? I'm there, but I don't want to tell Stan that I'm that gagging and I'll pay anything. So I said to Stan, how much is it, Stan? Things are a little bit tight at the moment. Stan said, you bring 2 friends, and I went, okay, this is going to be big. I could take 2 friends, and it was £75.
Was it? I can't remember.
£75, and I got to take.
Oh, I do now. I still owe him the money. That's right. Yeah, I still owe him the money.
I took my friend David Miller, and David Miller and I had been Arsenal fans from childhood, and we'd been away games, and David Miller came to the game, and we got changed in the home changing room, didn't we?
Yeah, that's right.
A wonderful thing, and my family, we were allowed to take family, and the family came and sat in the dugout, and we went up the director's box and looked at the trophy room and everything. Oh, it was the most wonderful.
And what about And what about who played in the same team? I mean, these were a lot of these boys were City boys, weren't they?
Yeah.
That Stan knew. So Stan Locke is a good friend. I still speak to Stan every day. But City guys, so they were slightly overweight. Don't like me saying, out of condition. But who played on either team? Go on, tell them.
Well, my claim to fame was that my favourite player at that time, all time, Liam Brady, and I played in the centre of defence with Liam Brady, and he was absolutely wonderful. So I kept saying to him, Liam, I'm unfit. I want to go. Let me go play out where I can't do any harm. And he went, no, Michael, just stay. And he looked after me, coached me. He coached me through the game and encouraged me. He was just lovely. He was absolutely lovely.
He never came onto the pitch when we first kicked off. He was a bit late, and after about 5 or 10 minutes, I didn't even notice he came on. To be honest with you, and I went up for a ball right with a touch. I just flicked it off. Good header. I looked around. It was Liam Brady. So I can go a happy man now. It wasn't such a great header, but I'm going to tell everyone it was. When he said that, it's got to be a great header. And on the other side was Sammy Nelson. I was playing, I think, on the right back. Sammy Nelson was left back. And he messed me around because every time he came up, I went close to him and he just flicked it past me like a golf shot. And every time I went back, he just kept coming forward all the time. He was Sammy. You don't realise how good these professionals are. I mean, you talk about years after they gave up the game, but the touch they got, you could see miles ahead of everybody. No, that was a great evening and a great experience, and one we will never ever forget. Now let's get going to the seasons, Mike. The season, right. 1996-7. We've got to draw ourselves back to that season.
Yeah.
I'll just give you a clue. That season was the season that pre-season we dismissed manager Bruce Rioch a week before the season started. That was.
Yes.
And he was, as you know, he was just a year in charge. We had Stuart Houston take over as manager until we got another one, caretaker manager. And on the 12th of September, and Arsene Wenger, whoever he was, joined. I don't know what happened to him. He joined and took us. Was manager for the rest of the season and a few seasons going. As it happened that year, just to give us a quick praise of the year, we came third in the league. We got knocked out in the fourth round of the Cup and the League Cup, and our average home attendance was 37,000. So that's where we were. But do you remember much about that?
I do, Melvyn. I mean, it was so step out for our club because the previous season, I think we'd won our last 5 games to get into the Europa League positions. So
that's right. Yeah,
that was quite a good outcome. You know, in those days, we were not expecting to come top. Actually, to get into Europe was pretty good. So he'd come to Arsenal with a great CV, Bruce Rioch. In fact, I think he was manager of Bolton, and they beat us 4-2 at Highbury, Bolton, even when they were in the division below.
In the Cup,
He was really good, highly thought of. Season before they bought Platt and some guy called Bergkamp.
Yeah, I don't answer him either. But yeah,
and so you know you felt like things were falling into place with Rioch, and for Arsenal to fire him in the pre-season was just such an incredible thing to do for a conservative institution like Arsenal. I mean,
and it was a week before the start, Mike. It wasn't just pre-season. It was 1 week before the kickoff.
Yeah, and to hire some guy who was French. I don't think there were any overseas managers in England. Was coaching in Japan. I mean, we did not even know they'd heard of football in Japan, let alone had a manager we'd want. And his name sounded vaguely like Arsenal. It sounded like a joke, didn't it?
Yeah, it was April the 1st today or what? It was one of those, isn't it? It was, as you say, it was so out of kilt for the club. Thank God they did it. I mean, it was an amazing thing to do. It was fresh. It was new. Everything. It was just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And some of his signings. I mean, I know that we bought Vieira and Remy Gard.
That's right.
But they came to Arsenal before Wenger. But Wenger signed them. That was a certainty. whatever the club or whatever said, the press said, I don't think Bruce Rioch knew too much about Vieira, to give you a clue.
No.
So that's that. So I told you we did sell that window. David Hillier, he went to Portsmouth. Paul Dickoff to Manchester City.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, with Remy Gard and Patrick Vieira were bought. And John Hartson went to West Ham.
Yeah.
And we did later on in the year, I think January time. Now, I don't know if there was windows then, Mike. I don't know, but you could buy, I think, players anytime you like. Around that January, we bought Nicolas Anelka, who was a kid from Paris Saint-Germain. Who else did we got? That was about it, I think. So it was those signings we didn't know too much about, really. Did we buy? Hold on. Did we buy the left? No, we didn't buy him that year. It was the following year. I'm talking about the other midfielder with Patrick Vieira, the left-footed guy. Petit. Sorry, I'm shocking the name. Petit. I think we bought him the next year. Anyway, let's crack on.
Yeah.
Let's see what we did here.
So Man United won the league that year.
Yeah.
Wash my mouth out. With 75 points.
God, dear.
With 75, really? We have currently got 73 points.
That's amazing.
And we've got 8 games to go. So it's incredible the standard we're at now.
That's amazing what's happened
here. It is amazing.
Right, let's have a look, see what else we did that year.
So year, Ian Wright was our top scorer.
Yeah, he got, how many did he get that year? Have I got it down? I haven't got that. I don't know how many he scored that year. I'm going to have that down. We had, he did. He scored 30 goals in 41 appearances, Ian Wright. That's obviously in all competitions. We had 28 players play for us and 12 different goal scorers, and Ian Wright was top of the pile.
I love him, Ian Wright, because he's obviously our man. I love him on the telly, but he was a horrible player, really, wasn't he? I mean, his goal scoring was fantastic, but he was all niggle, wasn't he? He was all.
I might have to say that he was a nasty piece of work.
He was a little bit of a nasty piece of work. Now, I mean, obviously love him because he was out of work. But
exactly.
He was clever. You know, when the defender cleared the ball, he was late into the tackle.
He was in their ear as well, wasn't he?
In their ear the whole time. I mean, you as an away fan, you would have hated him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
But you know, he was one of the reasons for the 1-0 to the Arsenal because basically he was such a lethal finisher, and all we really need to do was just shut it down after that.
Well, that's why the 1-0 to the Arsenal came about. I mean, we scored a goal and go, good night, see you next week.
Yeah.
Because we could afford to do it. And he was the only one that particularly scored at that time. I mean, Stuart Houston was caretaker manager once, but they put out feelers for the new manager, but Arsenal made their mind up, even though they put out feelers. And Stuart Houston put his name down. Once he didn't get it, he left.
Yeah.
And Pat Rice took his place.
Yeah.
So was that a good decision by him? We don't think so.
Well, so apparently, Melvyn. So he went to QPR, Stuart Houston.
Yeah.
In the frame, apparently, for the manager's job were Johan Cruyff.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Terry Venables.
Yeah.
And David O'Leary was apparently.
Yeah, I'm surprised at that. I read that. I'm surprised. I don't remember that. Do you know who Stuart Houston's number 2 at QPR was when he took over the manager's role there that season?
No, I will be guessing.
It's a strange one.
I'll have a go.
Go on.
Bruce Rioch.
Strange one. Yes. Hang on. That's weird, isn't it? That's a weird one, isn't it? He was manager.
Yeah.
So then you go to another team, and the manager becomes the number 2. Number 2 becomes the number 1. It's like, hold on, have I missed something? It's like I say, baggy trousers, madness. Now, some of the games that season that that stick in my mind. Have you got any of that season particularly that stick in your mind?
Not so much. It's
right.
The following season where I've got more.
All right, I'm going to play my joker on this one, then. All right, play my joker. Right, on 16th of September that year, we beat Sheffield Wednesday 4-1 at home. I went to that, and a certain young Vieira came on a sub. We went 1-0 down. Ian Wright then got a hat trick, and the crowd was 33,000.
Melvyn, if I don't mention that 16th of September is my wedding anniversary, I might as well just stay in this room and never go into the rest of the house. I've got to get that in.
There's an asterisk by it, so it might be something to do with that, Mike, that game. And the programme had a little special thing as well, so I don't know why. Anyway, that was Vieira's first game. A friend of mine had watched Vieira training at London Colney or whatever it was before anyone had seen him. He goes, "This kid is something special." I go, no. He goes, no. This kid is something special. When he came on, I think the first thing that happened, the ball went under his feet. He just miscontrolled it.
Yeah, he looked ungainly, didn't he?
Yes, yeah. But I tell you what,
speedily.
If someone could let a ball go under his foot by mistake classily, that was Vieira. It was, you knew after that, the geezer was just off the radar. We were like rubbing our eyes going, what have we just witnessed? How can this kid do that? He had a presence about him straight away, even when he didn't touch the ball. You knew it was something special. And my friend was so right. Anyway, we won that game 4-1. I think I've got the programme here somewhere, the cover. See if I can get that on. That's the cover. That was the midweek game.
I was there.
Ah, I was there. You know where I was sitting? I remember. I was sitting in the Barclays place.
Okay.
Because we had it that year, or for those years. And,
that's right, Melvyn. It was a bit. Sometimes it was a bit hard to fill that box.
Yes, that's true. I'll just tell the people. We used to have our firm, part of Barclays, had a box behind the goal. But obviously the boxes were only behind the goal, and we shared it with a third share with 2 other Barclay type companies. And at weeks we were struggling to fill it. It was a 12-seater.
I remember having to say to people, "Would you like to come to dinner? We've got a private room for 12 people. Would you like to come to dinner?" And people go, "Yeah. Where is it?" I go, "Well, it's actually at Highbury. We're playing Wimbledon at home." "Oh no, no, thanks very much."
I remember that game, and I tell you something, that game I remember because I had to phone round to get another person to come. We were short, and there's a guy haven't spoken to him for a couple of years now, but I become good friends with this guy. He was with HSBC, and a lovely guy. And from that on, we got friends. It was just like I said to someone, I phoned up with the guy. Would you like to come to Arsenal tonight? We're playing Sheffield Wednesday. Shut up. I said, "Is any one of your people that have supported the Arsenal?" He goes, "We got this young kid start with us a few months ago." I went, "All right, can I speak to him, please?" I didn't know this guy. Anyway, met up. We went on. At least he's a mad Arsenal supporter. He was anyway, but it was just so nice to meet up with him. That was good. And this is the teams. I don't know if you can see this, the Arsenal Sheffield Wednesday teams. Can you read any of that?
I can see it, yes. I can see it.
Can you read any names? Because I can't.
Well, so obviously, number 10, Bergkamp. Number 9 was Merson.
What about for Wednesday? What about Sheffield Wednesday?
For Sheffield Wednesday, so names that I would remember: Des Walker, known for his pace. "You'll never beat Des Walker," they would sing, didn't they? And Mark Bright, who had played at Crystal Palace with
Ian Wright. Yeah.
David Hurst, who was the centre forward. Chris Waddle, obviously. Chris Waddle's still
decent player
on the radio. I heard him the other night, actually, Chris Waddle, and I thought, you know what, he's above average relative to other pundits. And he's got an opinion. He makes his mind. I quite liked him on the radio, despite his other checkered history with Tottenham. Yeah. So and obviously, is it the same Steve Nicol? Is it the same One More Minute Steve Nicol?
No, I don't know.
No,
that's the Liverpool guy. Isn't it?
Well, could it be the same guy?
I'm not sure. I don't know if he plays. I don't remember him playing for him.
Let's just pretend it's him anyway.
Yeah, Steve.
To tell the story about Steve.
It's definitely him.
Telling all the Liverpool players there was only 1 minute left just before the Michael Thomas goal to win the league.
Yeah. Now I want to show you something here. This is what started that season, And it really was a boon for us supporters that never used to go away games because I'd stopped going to them. Do you know that is the screen? You can't see in the middle.
Oh yeah, Jumbotron.
That's it, Jumbotron. That's
Yeah.
it. That was the first. I think that might have been the first game they showed it. And they were marketing it. I think you paid a tenner, and you could go to Highbury and watch it from the. Would it be the North Bank or one of the stands? I don't know. Behind the goal, anyway. One of the ones behind the goal, and it was like it's before Sky. Well, you haven't come watch a game now on the 3 o'clock, but there wasn't much Sky football. Was there any Sky football around then? A lot of it. There wasn't a lot, was there then?
I think there might have been because I think Sky started when the Premier League.
Right. But if but on a Saturday you couldn't stream a game. Not that I would ever stream a game.
No.
But if I was allowed to stream a game now, I couldn't then because it didn't exist. And so you go to Highbury for about a tenner and watch a game, and you had all the crowd with you as well. Yeah, decent view. It was quite clear, and that's a really good thing to go to all those years ago. And they stopped it. I don't know why they did, but they stopped it, which is a shame.
What was that when they were rebuilding the ground? What was there? There was.
It was only the seats they were doing, Mike, wasn't it? It wasn't the pitch they were doing, was it?
So when they rebuilt the clock end with the boxes, that end was shut, wasn't it? When they put seating into the North Bank was shut.
Well, this was after the clock end. This was after the seating was first put in '89. The boxes, boxes were '89. That's when they were. When we played Wimbledon and all that. That was I remember an evening game. That was when the boxes were first done. This is years later. So I don't know why they stopped it. I don't understand that. But I'm going to go to a couple of games now as well. Another game. We beat Spurs 3-1 at home in November, where we went 1-0 up. Ian Wright got a bit of a lucky penalty, I think. Someone brought him down in the box, and we got it. The left back brought him down, and then they had a dodgy goal. They had a thrower near our penalty area, and someone got injured, so they should have thrown it back to us. But what they did is, being Spurs, they just continued with the throw. We were like half awake or half asleep, as it would be, same thing. And Andy Sinton scored, and then right near the end, it was a wet day. It was coming down, and in the North Bank, never forget, the ball got thrown, I think, to Tony Adams, and he suddenly turned from about 2 yards out and smashed it in the roof of the net. And about a minute or two later, Ian Wright went down the right-hand side. The left back that he was tormenting, inside, outside. All of a sudden, he crossed it with 1 foot, one beautiful touch. Bergkamp controlled the ball, pushed it to his right foot, and smashed it into the bar.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Oh, that was quality. With a captain's cue, that was amazing. So that was a great
because it took a while for him to get going, didn't it, Bergkamp?
It did, yeah. All the experts would tell us he weren't any good, so obviously he was good.
Carlos Kickabout.
Yeah, Carlos Kickabout. We got what they used to call it. Yeah, that's something like that. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Because when Bergkamp was actually doing things and he was brilliant, a friend of mine was at one of the David Lloyds, and behind him was Alan Sugar going to that, right? And this is going out, and he kind of knew him. He goes, "All right, Alan, Carlos Kickabout or whatever it's called, like taking the mickey out of him." He goes, "Look," he says, we're not that far behind you." He says, "No, you're right. Only 10 years." So that was that. Now another game is I went away. This is a personal one. Away to Derby, last game of the season. Why it was special for me was it's the first time I saw Anelka play for the Arsenal. I don't think he played for Arsenal before that, unless he played away. But I think he came on as sub. And I think he turned the game around. There was 18,000 people there. Wright got a couple. Bergkamp got one. Again, we went 1-0 down at the famous baseball ground. But what made it famous for me, well, that was the last game of football at the baseball ground. It
was famous for being a bog, wasn't it? The baseball ground.
Shocking. That's the last game. Really. And when the teams came out, they made a line and they played the final post. And it was a bit surreal. Me and my mate were going, "What's all this about?" You know, but there's a good game of football. And afterwards, we went near the players' lounge. It wasn't a lounge, players' huts, give you a clue. And Patrick Vieira was obviously there. And we looked at him, he was like, "Wow, this absolutely tall, skinny, just looked at him, it's like, oh my God. Oh my." And also, I actually managed, and I don't think he remembers it. He probably doesn't, but I shook Arsene Wenger's hand as he went from the players' changing room to the players' lounge or whatever. And I said to my pal, I'm never washing my hands again. I said, that is it. I'm not washing my hands again. Which
I'm sure he's somewhere else on YouTube telling his listeners that.
Yeah, I'm sure he remembers.
He once shook hands with the great Melvyn Marks.
Yeah, he'd never shake a hand again, he said. Right, now then, we're going to go into the next season. If I use the right mouse, I'll probably be all right. Let's have a look at this. Here we go. 1997-8. Oh, before I do that, sorry. Before I do, I want to give you a couple of adverts here from 1996-7 programs. This is quite funny, I think. What's an advert? How strange is that for JVC?
Wow.
That is something really strange, isn't it?
Yeah. So they were our sponsors, weren't they, JVC?
Yeah. That was absolutely weird.
And I can't even see where the speakers are.
Oh, I've got some comments I'd like to get through.
Come on, Melvyn, they're invisible.
Steve Nicol. Hold it. Someone says something about Steve Nicol. He did play for Sheffield Wednesday. Thanks, Emerson. Wow. Well done. Well done, Mike. Well done. What have we got here? Evening, gents. Hello, Loudkey. Nice glow. No, keep going. So, what's this one say? Yeah, you're right. They're all in a pub. Going back to what we were talking about before. Yeah, rosettes. That was used to be years ago, Mike, didn't it? When people wore rosettes and badges, hats.
Well, that old job. I mean, I remember queuing because you couldn't get. Excuse me. Another Benson's for me. No, you couldn't get. You couldn't look up online what they had. You would literally get to the front of the queue, and then you'd have to either see what you wanted, and then see if they had your size and see if it was in your budget. It was a world away from the retail experience.
I've got something for you now, Mike. Let's look at this one.
Oh, so David Miller, he was my friend. I very kindly took to that day at Highbury, and he likes to say that he saved me because I deflected the ball from a corner and it was going in, and he saved me by saving the ball off the line. And he wants me to remind everybody that he scored that day in North Bank.
Here we are, Loudkey. What's he saying? I remember you. Of course, CFAX, that's going back a bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, CFAX. Amazing. Well, we're waiting for the news, but didn't know who it was, did we?
So do you? I mean, I'm not going to say what they were, but I'm sure viewers of our age will remember that there were terrible rumours, weren't there, about Arsene Wenger?
Yeah, I mean that was just Spurs fans, wasn't it?
Terrible rumours, and
that was very Spursy, I think.
Rumours were so strong that the club came out of a denial. I mean, it was just an appalling way to greet that man who was such a civilised, upstanding human being, and and for him to come into all of that, it was shocking.
Those people doing that probably were wearing Jimmy Savile Fix-It badges, weren't they?
Well,
you know what I mean? Irony of that. Anyway, this is Rick was never an Arsenal manager. I seem to agree about that. I mean, the rumours go. Obviously, he had a big fallout with Ian Wright, and also he had a fallout with a lot of the players because he kept telling them they weren't as good as the Bolton players. Allegedly, he said that he managed.
My point.
You're not your friends that way, are you?
My point was that as a very conservative institution, which Arsenal Football Club was, and with a reputation for doing everything in the right way, to fire a manager a week before the start of the season, in order to swap him for an overseas manager, who's in Japan. It was just, I think that actually it just showed you that there were some real visionaries running the club at the time who were completely, completely changing the way the club was being run, and that led to the Wenger hiring and the moving of the ground and everything. Those people back then, they deserve a lot of credit really. And
And one person in particular, really, we can pick.
Well, so were you going to say Danny Fishman?
Dean.
David Dean and Fishman, I think,
yeah,
were the two people that I always. Well, obviously Wenger himself was a visionary.
but getting in was the key. One pass with Sheffield Wednesday made Vieira. I don't remember what pass that was, but anything he did looked to me looked wonderful. That game, I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. He was a winner. That might be Vieira. And they're having a go at us. I think he was fantastic as a player. Ian Wright was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
It's very nice of those guys to write in, but this is my show, Melvyn.
I'm sorry. I do apologise. Yeah, it's just saying what we did, what we said earlier. Houston went to QPR and Rook was assistant. Very strange. Richard's Vlog and Drone Channel. Have you an email? Is that you want my email, do you?
No, he's writing to Loki.
Oh right, sorry. I used to be able to read years ago. Oh, I didn't know that. That's a good one.
Yeah, well, Sheffield Wednesday must have been sick of us, mustn't they? Because in '93, we beat them in both cup finals, didn't we?
Did we?
'93.
Did you go to any of those cup finals?
Pardon?
Did you go to any of those cup finals?
I went to both cup finals, and they both went to replays. And
did you go to the replay? The one
replays as well. And I'm ashamed to say that. So did we go, Melvyn?
We did. That's what I'm trying to put you to that area. We went together to the.
I'm ashamed to say that they were possibly the 4 worst cup finals.
Oh, they were horrible. They were poor. Remember, I mean, the one we won the last minute.
Excuse me a second.
Oh, cut that. Edit that. Remember that, right? Edit it. It was the rain came down that night, and as you say, that 2-1 was absolutely shocking game. I think that was the worst out of a lot of them we won it, but we didn't mind.
No, because winning was fun.
English players, and one Welshman in that game.
Style, winning was still fun.
And let's see. So I'm doing these ones a bit late.
You want to do your adverts?
I will do this. Very tidy study. Is that you, Mike? It's got to be because I've got nothing in mine, have I? It's got to be yours, isn't it? It's your son, is it?
My son, yeah. So my son, while I've got my son Patrick on the TV, my wife was pregnant with them in 1997. So they were born in 1997, and my wife came with me while she was pregnant to the Leeds game.
Right.
And we lost the Leeds game, and my wife has never been to Arsenal since.
I think that's a good choice, Mike. I think that's the way it should be.
Until she discovered
Everyone gets a chance in life.
Until she discovered Arsenal,
you love it.
She's a fanatic. She's become a fanatic. My wife.
Has she really? Wow. I remember that game well.
But my sons went to Old Highbury with their mum when she was pregnant with them.
God, they're amazing. Chelsea are losing. Oh, thanks. That's all right. Oh, Chelsea getting beat, eh? Wow, there we go. Let's have a look what else we got here. Let's go a few more of these adverts. This one is that's one we've done. This one. What about this one? This is a nightmare. This one. Can you read what it says? I've got to make this bigger so I can read it. I know when I read it before, I thought, "Are you sure?" Can you see what that says? This was in 1986-7. It's saying Arsenal West Ham. Where the hell were you? Got a photograph of some guy, and he gives his his fan. So
the point is, where were you when Arsenal played West Ham in 1986, 1987? He's saying
the answer.
He's saying he's in hospital, and so it's a Nike advert. So he says, verdict: you should get a less dangerous job, like a paper round. Just do it, which was the Nike.
Yeah, but he said, I was stuck in hospital recovering from a serious injuries sustained while filming a car commercial in Wales. I mean, that's a bit of a strange thing, isn't it?
It is a strange thing.
It's an advert, very strange. Right, let's see. Get some more of these up. If I can find them. No, I don't know what I've done there. Back to the drawing board. Right.
You need a young person on your tech, Melvyn.
Yeah, tech. I can't even spell it. Hold on, there's something else. This is the game we spoke about 3-1 when we beat Spurs. That's the cover. That looks more like a painting than a photograph, doesn't it?
Oh, so that's Merce, isn't it? And Merce,
Yeah.
and I don't know if people realise how iconic Merson was, because he was. I remember round my way. Well, obviously it was Islington. Everybody, all the chaps started getting their haircut the way Merce had his haircut. He was an absolute icon for the young people.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
And, yeah, he's. I'm still very, very fond of Merson. And actually, I was lucky enough to meet him once, Melvyn. He was doing a question and answer thing with Perry Groves in Potter's Bar.
Oh, they're both very funny, those two. They're brilliant.
They're brilliant. And I've seen them a few times since. Merce, but I that night I went with a friend of mine, Gary, and we had tickets to the VIP area, and I got to ask him a couple of questions before Paul Merce. He was quite outspoken about Wenger and how and he thought Wenger ought to be demanding a bigger transfer budget from the club, and that that because I think that he felt Wenger cared more about the purse strings than glory, and that Wenger should be taking more risk in order to get us back where we wanted to be.
Yeah, there was a few people that thought like that, and I think some of the supporters as well began to think like that, especially with what happened with us. But we don't know behind the scenes how bad things were financially. And look at this one. What does this one say? Another classic. Arsenal Tottenham 1993-4.
And we had a heart the day before the game.
Why'd you put this on? I don't understand. That's not an advert.
I'll tell you what, it says skip the double cheeseburgers at half time. Well, switch to a low fat Bovril.
Just do it. Oh, dear me. Dear me. What has this world come to? Or what did it come to? Right, so we've got any other decent adverts? This was. Is that the game we played?
It looks a bit like Lee Dixon.
It does, actually. No, I thought it looked like the manager. I'm thinking of the manager who's been around the block a few times. Well, there's a few of them in it. And this is ticket prices of that year. We can see that. Can you see any of those? Because I can't.
So, centre block, east and west upper, £28.
Yeah.
Clock end stand, or the cheapest was North Bank stand, lower tier, outer wings, £12.
That's all seated, though, isn't it? Sitting.
There, yeah. Well, what probably was all seated.
Yeah. And then I'm going to something that, and that's advertising other games and matches you can buy tickets for. Not like today where you can't get a ticket for love or money.
No.
That's The Voice. With George Graham there saying his little bit. Can you read any of that? Because, as I say, I'm struggling.
Well, I can, Melvyn, because I've just been to Boots for a free eye test and come out with a very expensive new pair of glasses, which are paying off. So Ian Wright will be at the Arsenal World of Sport, Finsbury Park.
Right.
Signing his book, Mr. Wright. Yeah, I read that, loved it. And actually very disappointed to see that Arsenal World of Sport go as well, actually. I was a big supporter of that shop as I went past.
Yeah.
Finsbury Park.
Yeah, that was a good shot, that, yeah. Anything else on there interesting?
No.
Oh, thanks, Mike. It took me 4 hours to put that on.
Well, I guess the Roll of Honours there. The Roll of Honours, I would have absorbed all of that as a child. I'd have remembered all of the cup-winning years and all of the championship-winning years. Count them all up.
Right, now we're going to go next. 1997-8 season.
Yes.
We were, as you know, double winners. The average crowd was 37,000 at Highbury, believe it or not. In the window, we bought Petit. I can't remember his name.
Yes.
I remember his name. Alex Meninga we bought.
Yeah.
Gramondi we bought.
Yeah.
Boa Morte. Paul Merson actually went that season. But we did buy the player, apart from Petit, who was amazing, Mark Overmars, who made all the difference.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. Player of the year, Carling Manager of the Year was Wenger, obviously. Player of the Year was Dennis Bergkamp, and PFA Player of the Year as well. He was just won everything, didn't he? Amazing. He scored 22 goals that season, 16 in the league, Bergkamp. Not bad for a guy who wasn't any good. Yeah. The first game of the season, we played away to Leeds. We drew 1-1. I actually went up to Leeds with Jerome, my son.
That was brave in those days, Melvyn. Leeds away, it was brave.
It was, yeah. But I wasn't recognised then. It was all right. No one knew me then. I could, no problem. And Ian Wright scored the first for us. We thought, here we go. And then Hasselbank, unknown, Jimmy Hasselbank got the equaliser. I've been to Leeds so many times. The atmosphere there is amazing. It really is intimidating. It's really a fantastic ground. Now, before I go into the matches that I recall,
University in Leeds, so we're quite fond of Leeds.
Yeah, Leeds is a lovely place, actually. Well, what games do you remember from that season that you can pick
actually, not well. So I guess famous things that happened that season were Ian Wright broke the scoring record, didn't he? So against Bolton at home.
That's it.
13th September 1997, he scored his 179th goal to break the scoring record and took his shirt off to reveal the number. I think he might have taken his shirt off. I think he scored a hat-trick. Yeah. I think the second goal beat the record, and he took his shirt off after the first goal.
That's right. He got a bit prematurely, yeah.
He went a bit early, but he was a fantastic icon, wasn't he? He was fantastic.
Fantastic.
There were loads of memorable games that season, and one of the games that I remember as I think was a real turning point. So coming into March, I think we were 12 points behind Man United.
Yeah.
There was a bookmaker in Manchester who famously
I remember that. Yes.
Paid out to anybody who had backed Manchester United for the title. Why on earth he would have done that? What he thought his upside was from doing that, whether he thought he was going to bring more business in, but obviously, a dramatically dumb thing to have done. But we were miles behind. We played FA Cup at home to West Ham, drew. Then we went away to West Ham, and Bergkamp got sent off after 30
elbowing someone, didn't he?
And I remember that as a turning point in the season. So my own recollection was in that game was the first time really that Vieira and Petit became part of the back four, as it were, or the back six. That actually the midfield became part of the defence. And that I felt was a real turning point for us that season. And I think we then went on to win 10 consecutive games to eventually win the title that year. But I always think that game against West Ham, that's when I think back to the wall, they all said to themselves, "Look, we need to change the way we're doing things here." And they dug in, and I felt that was the foundation of that team going on to be successful. Is what they found out about themselves in that game. So other notable games that season was the Bergkamp scored that fantastic hat-trick against Leicester.
Oh yeah, and we still didn't win.
No, 3-3 draw, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But there was the one goal where he sort of took it down over his shoulder in one touch, pulled it back, and then with his other foot hit it into the other side of the goal. It was immaculate. He's up with Brady and Henry. Bergkamp is up there for my favourite.
Yeah, definitely got to.
Best of the time. So what else have I got? Iconic games from that season. Well, my Chelsea supporting family, I'm going to have to mention the away game against Chelsea that year. It was 2-2 draw, and that's the one where Nigel Winterburn scored the second equaliser, where he came in from the left and he hit it with his left foot, and it started off outside the right hand post and then curled in. to the right hand corner, Nigel Winterburn, to get us an equaliser away at Chelsea. And I think Jurgen Klinsmann joined Tottenham that January.
Right.
And you remember when he? I mean, I don't want to really be on here giving lots of famous Chelsea moments, but fantastic bit of humour when he scored his first goal, because we all knew him as a diver, didn't we, in English football? When he scored his first goal, he went and did a dive, didn't he? As his
the whole team did it.
The whole team went and did the dive.
That was the best PR I've ever seen.
Respect. That was.
Best PR. That's fantastic. And everyone went, right, elephants out of the room, let's get on with it. And he was a great player. Absolutely. I thought he was a fantastic player, and I was glad to see him in our league. Really was, even though the Spurs. This is true. 13 quid was it was a big jump at the time. Those days, 13 quid to behind the clock end. Yeah, very quick Overmars, wasn't it?
Well, so Overmars scores the winning goal in the away game against
United.
Was it that season? I think it must have been that season.
It was. Yeah, it was.
Where we won 1-0, and it was a marvellous moment.
Fantastic. I mean, talk about his speed. There's a game I was thinking about. We beat West Ham 4-0 in September. We were 4-0 up at half time. Overmars got a couple. Bergkamp put him through from the halfway line, if you like, and ran 40 odd yards and slightly past the keeper. I mean, once he got going, Overmars, the first 10 yards he was away, and then you'd never catch him. Amazing.
Yeah. But I think in that team, I think that when we were in tight must-win games, somebody always popped up with a goal, whether it was Overmars or Petit or Vieira or Anelka. Somebody in the tight games always found a way, and that's what I was thinking about this team this season. Is that we'd need to show those traits in order to win the league. Well, actually, I think we have started to do that. We did that against Bournemouth, didn't we? And I think that season so my son's saying Bergkamp won first, second, and third in match of the day goal of the month.
To ever win it, not only the only person to ever win it. And like Loki said, the Manning of that season was great. He played, I don't know how many games he played, 10 or 12 games. He was very, very. He played in that 1-0 win as well.
He was, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I thought we beat him away. It was the winner. Like, it wasn't 2-2. It was the winner.
Apologies. So the
he joined in 95, he reckons, Klinsmann. His first game, as I remember, Rich, was Sheffield Wednesday away when he did that dive.
Okay, so I'm looking like I'm being found out on some of my research.
Yeah, that was an epic game. That one, oh my God, that was an epic game. I agree.
If I'm at fault, you've got to blame Wikipedia.
We were so good, both teams, United and Arsenal, were so good that year that once we actually caught them, and that year we overtook them when we beat them away. Basically, that's when we kind of thought we'd won the league because it was in our own hands. And
but again, we won the league with 78 points that year.
Really?
78 points. So we've got 73 now with 8 games to go. So it just shows what a high standard we're reaching this year.
I mean, when we played Man United at home, we beat them. I remember it was we beat them 3-2. First goal was Anelka, and I missed the first goal. I think it's the only game I've been late for, and I've missed the goal. I went with Jerome. Jerome was playing football in the morning for his team, and I left the 2 tickets in the car. We left the car by the station, went up on Finsbury Park. I'm going, no. By the time I got back again, it was like, bloody hell, missed the. Didn't mind it was 1-0 to us. I didn't mind, but that was a fantastic game. That 3-2 with a fantastic Vieira shot from outside the box when it come out.
Yeah.
And Platt's header from the corner. I mean, he should have retired then, Platt, because that was the best thing he ever did as far as I'm concerned.
Actually, Melvyn, I was at that game and I just moved home, and before the game I went to there was a hotel near us for lunch called the name will come back to me in a second.
Dorchester?
No, it wasn't Dorchester. But the West Lodge Hotel.
Oh yeah.
me, and the Man United team had stayed in the hotel the night before the game.
Oh, right.
We didn't know they were going to be there. We just went in there for a drink and lunch before the game, make a special occasion of it. And we got in there, and all the team were in there. We saw them all walk past, Beckhams and Giggs and Schmeichels.
Unbelievable. Funny when you see they don't expect it. Well, the last home game, we had to win. We didn't have to. If we won the game, we would have won the league, and it was home to Everton, the famous 4-0.
Yes. Yeah. So I was in the. I had season tickets in the North Bank. Again, down to your friend Stan, who basically had something to do with finding a home for people who wanted to sell their season tickets, and I was lucky enough to buy 2 season tickets, absolutely great tickets, right in the middle of the.
Were they the Bond? Anything to do with the Bond or anything?
It was the Bond. So
yeah, that's what he used to do, Stan. That was his game.
For those who can't remember, to fund building the all-seater stadium that they had to build instead of the standing post Hillsborough, Arsenal raised some money by selling a bond. So I think I paid $1,500. You paid £1,500 or £1,300. I think 1,300 was lower tier, 1,500 was upper tier, and then in exchange for that, you got a subsidised seat for 10 years. So I think I paid £1,500, which was a lot of money, but I think my season ticket was £200 a year for 10 years and just rose by a very small amount. So, it was like lending the money to the club really over a 10-year period and getting it back through your season ticket. Anyway, when we scored that 4th goal, the people who sat in front of us, I was there with a friend of mine who, in our celebration, he fell forward into these people. We've just won the league, the party all over the streets, and this guy in the seat in front turned round and swung at my friend.
No,
it was one of the happiest days. Everybody was absolutely jubilant.
It was carnival time, wasn't it? Carnival
that guy. We fell on him in celebration, and he thought that was a reason to turn around and start swinging. I'm afraid that's a sort of iconic moment from that game, unfortunately for me. Apart from the fact that Steve Bold, who's a centre half, plays the pass through the middle for Tony Adams, the other centre half, breaking forward, and I think the commentator said that sums it all up, and it did, didn't it? That team, it was total football. The famous back four. Well, one of them's now playing football where he's playing through balls, and the other one's he's breaking forward, sprinting forward, and he's so freed up to express himself that he goes and scores the 4th goal. What a moment that was.
Got a question here. When did we last wear a green kit? Oh, I hope we don't. I don't
know.
That Blackburn game, we were 4-1 up at half time. I'll tell you something. I remember that game. I was watching it on telly.
Yes.
And it was amazing. I think the same night, Rich, if you may or may not recall, I think the same night, Man United drew with Liverpool, I think, and we won away. I think it was that night or the night before, and that really gave us a bit of a cushion. That gave us a slight cushion that we needed. I think Parlour got a couple, didn't he? Ray Parlour got, and
yes.
And Nelka got, when he ran through, did a leg up over the ball in front of the keeper. Keeper went to the left, he went to the right, smashed it in. It was like, oh. And then it had a bit of a snowstorm second half, if I recall. But what a game.
So was that the game where there was a guy in the crowd with long hair and a beard with wild, starey eyes who was going absolutely mad? It was an Arsenal.
It wasn't Christmas time, Mike. It wasn't Christmas time.
Dark hair. And that became an iconic moment that they showed.
That was the Man United game when he went like that.
I thought it was Blackburn away. I thought
it was the Man United one when he went, yes. And there was a girl that did it with Man United another time, and we won it at their place another time. A girl that went up to, get me everybody. Greenwood, was it 82, was it? That's Richard. Hi, Richard. Sorry, I just remembered who it is. Just worked out. Idiot I am. It's the new name of the guy whose channel this is. glad I put you on, Rich. Oh dear. 82, he'd know all about that. Is it Stan Flashman? No, it's not. It's Stan Locke, good friend of mine.
Yeah.
Very good friend I speak to every day. Evening. Hello, Neil. We're all right, mate. You're a bit late. I want a letter, please, from whoever can give you a letter to let me know why you're late, Neil. Not good enough, I'm afraid. No, great to see you, mate. Great to see you. These are the Everton teams. Just very quickly, can you recognise any Everton players there? Who's the Hutchinson? You know Hutchinson? He had the most diabolical foul on a Petit just before we scored, I think, our second goal. Went right into his knee on the deck. A callous challenge. Horrible.
But Melvyn, did he not famously play in the Coventry team that beat Tottenham 3-2 in the FA Cup final?
No, that's another Hutchinson. You're thinking of the winger. This is the one who played for West Ham, midfielder.
Okay, well, I just thought I'd throw in that memory anyway.
No, yeah, we do remember that game. Not everyone, no, they're not the same guy. So any other players there? Who else they got there?
So obviously Neville Southall.
Oh yeah, oh my God, what a great goalkeeper he was.
So Phelan, had he played for Man United? There was a lot of people who went from Man United to Everton, weren't there? I think was that the Phelan who played for Man United? And he'd been at Norwich before that.
Well, that's the Phelan that's still with Man United, the coach, isn't it? He was number 2 of Ferguson for years, that Phelan. I'm almost certain it's him, the winger.
Okay. That's Mike Phelan.
Who's this guy? Who's this then?
He's Terry Phelan.
Oh, Terry Phelan played for Wimbledon, I think.
Okay. So Nick Barmby, he was ex of Tottenham.
We went in Spurs, Middlesbrough.
And then Big Duncan Ferguson was playing for them as well. Who I think has he gone on to be? I think is he manager of Peterborough now, Duncan Ferguson.
Is he?
I think he is. Yeah.
All right. Let's go with that.
Sammy Nelson.
Nice
one, Sammy.
Yeah, we met him, haven't we? Met him a couple of times. Yeah. Lovely bloke. Lovely bloke. Right, what else I've got here? Just very quick, another advert. I don't know what this is for. What's this, JB? What the hell's all that in? They're very strange adverts, aren't they?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Right, also, let's have a look at a few comments, see what I've done here.
You would have, in those days, because you'd be starved of Arsenal content, you would wear the you would read the programme cover to cover, wouldn't you? You would read every word. I would read every word, including the adverts.
Yes.
Because there were you couldn't read like you can now. Read loads of Twitter stuff or listen to podcasts or watch.
It's not up to date, the programme, is it, nowadays? Yeah, well, the Green Kit in 82-3. First game, Summerway. Went to that game. Summerway, was it mean? Summerway.
Well, maybe it was Stoke away. I think maybe it was Stoke away. So me and David did go to Stoke away, and then we went to Sheffield for a night out after Stoke. Stoke away.
Exactly said it, sorry.
And I'll tell you who just joined us was Tony Woodcock. He'd been a summer signing. Tony Woodcock.
Neil's got this right, actually. It's detention and lines. Yeah, I think definitely Neil, detention, time and lines. Absolutely. Nothing less. I remember that, yes. They were lucky he called the police.
Well, so apparently there was his name Dele Alli used to live quite near us, and there was a gang that was doing burglaries, and the same gang had robbed Tony Adams and took all of his Premier League medals and his Cup winners medals, and the same gang broke into Dele Alli's house and stole.
Couldn't take any medals. What can he take?
Stole 2 kettles and a toaster.
Sorry. Right, here, this is it. What's this? Forest Green is where Duncan Ferguson's our manager.
Okay.
That's the point I'm making, Rich. If I can get this, why don't I get rid of that? Hold on. Why can't I show that? No, it's come up. It's true. That's why I'm showing them. We won't be able to show those adverts today. It's true. Right now, then, to finish this one off, I'm going to actually show a few things which happened in 25 years ago, which we're talking about at the time. What actually happened? Tony Blair became the Prime Minister of the UK. Mother Teresa dies in Calcutta. The two things weren't connected at all, I don't think.
No.
Mike Tyson bites Holyfield's ear during a fight. A civil jury panel finds O.J. Simpson guilty. Tiger Woods at 21 became the youngest ever golfer to win the Masters.
Wow.
Carlos the Jackal is caught and sentenced to life in prison. Microsoft becomes the world's most valuable company, valued at $261 billion.
Can't last.
No, I never know. It's one of those, got to sell them straight away. What else happened on the political front? No, not a lot. The Hong Kong flu, which killed 1.2 million chickens. Oh yeah, and IBM's Deep Blue chess playing computer defeated chess champion Garry Kasparov during the computer won Game 6 of the matchup, becoming the first computer to defeat the World Championship player under the tournament conditions. In that point in his career, Kasparov, the 34-year-old, had never lost to a human opponent. And that was the first ever loss, obviously. Amazing. He had to resign a game in less than 20 moves in one of the games. The first book in the award-winning Harry Potter series was released 25 years ago. There'll be less than that. Oh, there we go. You live and learn, as they say. You live and learn. Mike, all I can say is thank you very much. We've gone over our time, so that's another fine I'll be paying somebody. I don't know who or where or what, but that's what I'm going to do. I'd like to thank you for coming on. I know we planned this a long, long time ago, but I'm glad it's happened. You know, I'm glad my computer didn't break down. I forgot your number or name or anything like that, so that's brilliant. Hopefully see you at one of the games going forward. One of the most important games going forward, which it will be. And I hope you've enjoyed it.
I did, Melvyn. Thank you very much for letting me relive so many happy memories. And I think I gave all my kids a name check apart from my son Ed, so I've got to get him in.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for letting us all be on the show. It's been fantastic.
Lovely. Thank you. All right. And as I say, hopefully bump into you soon at the Arsenal. All the best. Thanks, everybody. See you soon.
Come on, you Callum.